Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. When I was a teenager, my brother assaulted me. My parents never believed me and did nothing. Now they demand me to save my father and apologize to my brother. Original post. When I was a teenager, my brother violated me. Despite me being 2 years older than him, he was bigger and stronger than me. He threatened to hurt me, told me that no one would believe me, and kept doing it until I had enough and told my parents about it. Sadly, he was right. My parents didn't believe me. They were really mad and punished me hard for saying those horrible things about my brother. He was always their favorite, so they couldn't believe he'd done that. I tried really hard to convince them, even showed my mother the bruises on my legs and the marks of his bites, but she refused to believe me. The moment I was able to, I ran away from home. For years I resented them, even hated them. My brother for what he did, and my parents for doing nothing to help me. They only knew the truth because one day my brother was really drunk and told my dad about it. He told him how I was his first and how much fun he got from me. They contacted me and I believed they would apologize, offer me help, or even make my brother face the consequences of what he did. But no, my mother's idea was that everyone must admit we all do wrong, we all made mistakes, and forgive each other for everything, so we could keep that in the past and became a happy and united family again. I left them and never talked to them again. That's the moment I decided they were not my family anymore. Now in the present, after several years, lots of struggles, and a long time in therapy, I'm finally having a happy life. I'm married to a wonderful man and aiming to someday start a family with him. Then recently my mother found me. My father is sick and his liver is failing and needs a new one. My mother knows that my blood type is the same as my father's, so she reached me to do a test so I could donate my liver to him. I told her no. I just can't. Not to him, not to any of them. She said that I owe him that at least, that I was being an ungrateful daughter, that he is my father, and that's the least I can do for the family. That I have no right to be so spiteful for a silly teenage mistake, and I was killing him in saying no. I tried to stay strong, until one day my brother contacted my husband. Besides telling him about my father's situation and how I said no, he told him lots of awful things and lies about me, saying how I used to be an easy one, a liar, that I offered myself to everyone. He even lied about how I took advantage of him, even mentioned details of my body that would be impossible to know in a normal situation. He called me the worst scumbag to ever lived. My husband didn't know anything about my past. I only told him that my family was horrible, but never told him everything. He didn't believe him, but he wanted to know the truth and asked me my version. I broke down and cried like never before while I told him everything. He hugged me all that time, making me feel protected. My mother and brother are still harassing me, trying to guilt me until I accept to do the tests. They even demanded that I apologize to them. My husband has helped me a lot with them, keeping them away. I feel like I'm back in my teenage years, feeling so scared, weak and vulnerable. I believed I had overcome that part of my life, but I see that I haven't. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Screw 'em. You don't owe them anything. If they keep harassing you, tell them you'll get the police involved if they try and contact you further. You might also want to look into getting a restraining order on your brother and mother, using the constant harassment and character defamation your brother committed when he called your husband. I'm going to try to get the restraining order. I don't want them in my life. Please do. Cutting off and out the cancerous parts of the family by any means necessary is never a bad idea and will only make your life and mental health better. Interesting. Let's see how much your mom is willing to forgive you, despite your justified refusal to help your father. She would never do something like that. I'm still the villain of her story, the one who tried to destroy the family and refused to do the right thing. They refused to do the right thing when they refused to help you from being repeatedly violated. As you said, they aren't family, any more than a tumor is your family. Screw them, protect yourself. I'm sorry you didn't have a father who would protect you. I'm sorry you didn't have a mother who would nurture you. I'm sorry you didn't have a brother that would look out for you. Your husband and anyone else you choose is your family now. I hope you get the love you were denied as a child. Thank you so much. Indeed, my husband and the ones I choose are all the family I need. Your family is a flaming bag of crap. Contact your cell phone provider and see if they can block their numbers permanently and/or take out a restraining order against them. Your family is who you consider family. Blood relation no longer means family from the moment they refuse to listen and disrespected your boundaries. You don't owe them anything and don't have to do anything you don't want to. As others have mentioned, keep track of their harassment and install cameras in your home if you haven't done so already. And now for the update. I want to thank all of you. These last few days have been terrifying. Lots of things happened and I don't know where to start. I felt weak and defenseless, and I was about to break down multiple times. But all your support helped a lot, helped me to comprehend I'm not the monster here, that they had no right of anything from me. Having people telling me almost every day that they are the evil ones, and the support of my husband had made me stay strong. I don't know how to say thank you enough to all of you. After reading your comments, I tried to take all your advice. I asked to talk with them, to get information and maybe some recordings. My husband stayed at my side all the time, something that my mother hated, saying multiple times that he had nothing to do there, that this was only family issue, that she doesn't recognize him as my husband, because we never married on their community's church. But I told them he is with me, even if they don't like it. They weren't lying, my dad is dying, and it's way worse than I thought. He needs my liver soon, and apparently I was their last option. They believed that I would bend and do anything they ordered the moment they contacted me, just as I used to when I was a child, but not anymore. As some suggested, I started to record every conversation with my phone. I tried to make them admit about what happened and their role in it, because as some told me to, I investigated, and what my brother did to me does not prescribe. But it was meaningless. Mom just keeps saying that never happened, that all was lies, that I'm insane and only wanted to hurt the family. I even told my dad that I would take the test if they helped me, to testify or sign a document saying what my brother did to me, but again, it was useless. Mom keeps saying that never happened and I was lying, and Dad, he acted like I insulted him, saying things like, "How I dare you try to extort them with something like that, that I should be ashamed for everything I did to them, and that I should be the one kneeling in front of them, begging for their forgiveness, and offering everything I had to save his life." After everything that happened, even in that situation, they still believe I'm the problematic child they always claimed I was, that they still had authority over me, and that I owe them this. I was done after that. I told them I'm not doing that they have no right to ask me anything, that I don't consider them my parents since they enabled my brother to do that to me. My husband and I left them. But on the way to the car, my mother followed us, yelling at me for killing my own father. She even quoted the Bible saying that I should obey my father and mother, but looks like I wanted to add another sin to my list. Since then, the harassment became worse. I'm getting called every day, lots of awful texts, calling me selfish, calling me murderer. I tried my best to keep and look strong, but I had been breaking down in tears every day in the shower. It still hurts. We tried for the restraining order, but it's going to be stupidly slow, as they don't believe I'm an immediate risk. And because it's December and people don't do much on these days. But my breaking point was 2 days ago, when my mother called again. I take all the calls and record them, to try to have something that will help me in case she says something or admit what my brother did. But this time she went right to hurt me. She always knew how to hurt me, what buttons press. She told me lots of awful things, like how they told everyone in their community that I ran away because I was an addict and became a prostitute, that I was a shame, that I will burn in hell for killing my father, for lying and turning my back to the family. She told me how I was damaged goods, that no one would ever really love me for not being pure, that man I call my husband would use me, get bored, and leave me as the trash I am, and that every man would do the same. She kept on it for 30 minutes. I tried to reply at the beginning, make her say something, make her to commit a mistake, but at some point it was too much. I couldn't stand anymore and break. My husband found me on the floor. I was a crying mess, shaking. I tried to be strong, to face them, to maybe find some justice for what he did, but I couldn't take it anymore. I'm just not that strong. He hugged me while I cried. I begged him to never leave, to love me, to take me away from there. I didn't want to know anything about them. He let me cry and supported me until I fell asleep. I don't know how he did it, but I woke up in bed. It was 4 a.m. when I woke up, and he was still awake taking care of me. I told him that I couldn't do it anymore. I can't stand against this, the transplant, trying to make my brother pay. I was done and just wanted to escape. He told me that we would do anything I wanted, as long as I was safe and happy. Yesterday he came to me and asked me if I really meant what I said about an escape. I told him yes, I wanted to just get out, turn off my phone, and to not think about any of this, so I was impatient for our trip as every year we stay with his family for Christmas and New Year. His family is amazing and those days are super fun. Well, he said that we could have little vacations before our vacations. He said that after a little research, he got us a trip to Las Vegas and Disney. He got everything ready, only needed to confirm, so he was asking me if I really wanted to get out. I was shocked. I freaking love Disney and always wanted to go to Disneyland. I wanted to say yes, but how are we going to pay it? We are not poor and have some savings, but everything he was offering me sounds really expensive. To put you in context, my husband loves video games, and beside our own savings, he has been saving to buy a complete gaming setup. He wanted to buy it for his birthday, but he told me that after he saw me and how I was, he needed to do something, so he decided to take that money and use it. This is one of the most beautiful things he had done for me. I cried and hugged him, and now we are going to the USA. I'm aware this is not a solution, and these monsters will still be there when I return. But with this, I'm getting away from them, to have peace and fun, and to be surrounded of people that love and care about me. To me, that is a win. I notified the hospital that I'm being pressured into being a donor, and that I don't want to do it. That now, no matter what, I'm not giving him anything. I send a final text to my mother, saying I will never do it, to stop harassing me and never try to talk to me again, and that I will go to the police and do everything I can to put my brother in jail. I don't want any of them in my life again. I blocked my mother's number and every unknown number that they had used this past few days, and I'm going full no contact again. It's going to be hard, long, and painful, but I had my husband's support and all you beautiful Reddit people. Again, thank you and happy holidays to everyone. You are doing right by yourself in doing what you are doing, but do make sure to keep all the evidence you can just in case something happens. But be prepared for gaslighting like what they were doing before. Keep hard evidence that cannot be explained away, such as text or recordings. My guess is they won't stop until they have you under their control again. That means doing everything they want you to do, and only doing what they approve of. If your brother tries your husband again, try and make sure he also records and saves. Thanks. We are keeping everything. Lol, you can't murder someone by depriving them of a freaking transplant. Life is finite, it ends, it's supposed to. That's why health is so precious. Your family sound as screwed in the head as mine. I disowned both sides 11 years ago. No contact means no contact. Don't check anything, don't leave your guard down anywhere or anytime, but don't care either. After about a year, it will feel like things were always this way, and just so peaceful. I've also been divorced in another country after 10 years of marriage, and left with nothing, to start over from the bottom. I got on just fine. Believe in yourself, blood doesn't mean anything, real family won't ever treat you like that. You got this, and you aren't alone, nor the first, nor the last to have to do this. Stay strong, OP, you've got this. Enjoy Disney and let your family rot. Thank you. I will enjoy it. I wanted to go since I was a child. While in Vegas, send a video of you doing shots, and then block them in every aspect you can. They really reap what they sow. Besides, I'm sure your father is in need of a better liver, and not from some cheap woman as they like to say. That would be a great idea, but I don't want to have any type of contact with them at all. Now for the last story. My wife and son blame me for my oldest son's death. 10 years ago, my oldest son started a job working the graveyard shift. He was 20 years old. He was having trouble staying awake on his drive home from work in the mornings. So he came to stay with me because I lived closer to his job, because he still had 2 weeks before he moved into his new apartment real close to his job. After about 4 days of him staying with me, I forgot about him having trouble staying awake on his drive home in the morning. I had gotten an all-inclusive ticket to a baseball game, and I was taking my youngest son and all his friends. When I came home from work that day, I was excited about the game and I wasn't thinking. I woke up my oldest son out and asked him if he wanted to go to the game. He looked at me crazy and then got up to go to the restroom without saying anything. His mother walked in at that time and saw him and said, "Boy, what are you doing up?" My son replied, "Some fool woke me up." We went to the game, and that next morning when I was at work at 8:17 a.m., my son had fallen asleep and went head-on into an 18-wheeler and killed. My wife and youngest son knew about me waking him up, and they held it against me. Within 2 years, my son had moved off for college, and my wife divorced me. For 10 years, I've been living with this debilitating guilt and self-loathing. It has ruined my life. I'm on medications for severe depression and PTSD. I lost my business, my house, my wife, both my sons, my health, and my dog. I sit here 10 years later still suffering from that eventful day. Every day I hear the words, "Some fool woke me up." Every day I see his burned up body and images in my head. I recently wrote this article for another sub and got a lot of good advice. I haven't seen or talked to my wife and son except a handful of times in the past 10 years. I'm thinking about confronting them, even now that I'm divorced and my son is married with a kid that I've never met. I need some type of closure so I can finally heal. How do I confront them and try to get them back in my life? Or should I just let sleeping dogs lie? I really miss my younger son and want to be a part of my granddaughter's life. Now for the top advice. Oh wow, I'm incredibly sorry to hear about this heartbreak. I can't imagine. Truthfully, it seems as if your ex-wife and younger son were looking for answers and for someone to blame, and you unfairly became that person. I'd be willing to bet your older son had sleeping issues outside of you asking him to a game, and living the rest of your life blaming yourself is doing absolutely no one any good. You deserve a life as well. Have you or are you in therapy to address some of these issues? As for your ex and son, I'd focus on your son. See if he's open to a conversation. Tell him how much you miss him and how you want to be in his life. Start small and see if he's open to the idea of it. You all lost a family member that day, and I'm so sorry your loss continued. Yes, I spent several years in counseling and saw a psychiatrist. It helped some, but the depression always came back. I have learned to live with it, but I want my son back in my life. I'm just not sure how to do it. You just start. Reach out to him by email, letter, or message on social media, whichever you have access to. Just start by being honest about how much you miss him and ask if he'd be okay talking and maybe reconnecting. I have messaged him dozens of times in past years. When I found out about medical school, when I found out he got married, when I found out he bought a house, had a child, and on and on. He never answers me back. Oh my god, OP, my heart breaks for you. You certainly have complex PTSD. I don't know if you've sought therapy or if you've heard this before, but it is not your fault what happened. It is so obvious you loved your son. That accident did not happen because you woke your son up. It sounds like he was chronically sleep deprived or having trouble adjusting to an unnatural sleep cycle. I am also someone who is so defined by someone dying. Please message me if you want to. I'm so sorry, OP. Thanks, that means a lot.